Okay, so this video I'm be sharing how I use warm outreach to book more sales calls with some ideal clients through LinkedIn. Now, there are a few steps I like to have when it comes to warm outreach that is in place. So, first things first, what's really important here is that your profile is optimized. It is optimized very much to speak to that ideal client, right? Speaking to that one ideal client, that one problem, that one result that they really want to have. Because if this isn't sorted first, this is going to have a really big impact on your ability to do outreach. So that was really the first thing I just wanted to point out here before we get into outreach. So the second thing here now is being able to connect with your ideal clients. Now, with this, I like to use Sales Navigator, but more specifically, when we can use Sales Navigator, we can get very, very detailed in terms of who we're trying to target. Now, in probably the previous video from this, I do actually have a video on Sales Navigator that goes into a lot more detail. But the whole idea with Sales Navigator is we want to have a very highly targeted list of ideal clients that we can regularly connect with. And what I find here is that if we can send maybe about 20, perhaps 30 connection requests per day, then what's going to happen is that assuming our profile is optimized, we're looking for about like a 30% acceptance rate or more, obviously, because this way we know that our profile is pretty optimized and it's showing who we help, what we do, and how we do it. And it just means that we get more connections and we're getting in front of more ideal clients. Because when we can do this, then what we have is then we have more warm leads that we can then effectively reach out to. So once we've done the connection stuff, then we have the warm leads. Now, the warm leads, or what I usually tend to call intent-based leads, is not just your connections, right? Sure, it can be your connections, right? But it can also be people that engage with you, people that have followed you, and even just like those type of people, or even sorry, profile viewers as well, that have effectively seen you before and are familiar with you. These are all your intent based leads or warm leads, if you will. And all we want to do here is effectively start the conversation, right? So, obviously, you want to make sure that you're connected with these people. So, for example, for people that have engaged, followed, or even viewed your profile, you want to make sure you send them a connection request. Now, the connection request we send has no note with it. Just send it without a note because a lot of the time people try and send stuff with notes. And if you're going to send something with a note, you want to make sure it's personalized. And usually, I just find it's much easier to send them without a note. And if they accept, then you send it with a note, right? Or at least then you respond, or at least start the conversation. So you obviously want to make sure that you connect with those people first. Once you're connected with them and they're, a new connection and they've seen you before, you want to start that conversation. So this is where we're going to basically effectively start the conversation. Now, when we're doing this, it can be very, or at least tempting, to use very just blatant copy and paste templates. It can be very easy to feel like we can just pitch to them. What we want to do is really focus on personalization. Personalization. There we are. Handwriting's pretty bad and the brain's a bit slow. So we want to focus on personalization because what this is going to do is that it goes to show we put some time and effort. Oh yeah, the handwriting's bad. We put some time and effort into this. We don't have to put a load, but by personalizing it and making it very specific, that's really going to help. And we're going to do this through a compliment that can only be said to them, right? Don't just say, hey, nice content or, love your banner, right? Pick out something specific, right? Pick out something specific that you like that they're doing, that you can compliment on, that they feel like can only be said to them. So sometimes I might look at, say, their recent post and I might share something brief that I like about it or that I can resonate with, right? But make it specific to them. Because what this is going to do is that this is going to at least make them more likely to respond because, well, to be fair, you're going to stand out from a lot of the messages they get, which aren't personalized. So that's really the first one in terms of personalizing it. Now, what we also want to do, as well as personalizing it, is we also want to ask a question. Because what this is going to do, this is going to help set up the conversation. It's going to help us effectively guide the conversation in the way we want to go. Now, preferably, what we want to do now, bearing in mind these people have connected with us, so they might somewhat, or at least they've connected with us most likely because they might have a slight interest or they could slightly benefit from what we offer. So, what we want to do is try and ask a question to guide it in the direction of, I suppose, what we offer to see if they have a problem we can solve. So, for example, for me, I usually like to ask how their sort of LinkedIn lead gen is going. Right? I'll say, something along the lines of, "Hey, name, like thanks for connecting. We're just curious to know, well, thanks for connecting." I then send whatever personalized message there is, and then at the end, I'd probably say, how's your LinkedIn lead gen going? Is it going well? Right? Something like that. But effectively, how's your LinkedIn lead gen going? And yeah, obviously to that degree, it's quite specific. And yes, it's not always going to get necessarily a very high response rate. However, like that said, it's going to allow me to get responses that like from people that are, pretty open to talking about it, to talk to me about it. Now, like I said before, up here, right? If your profile isn't optimized, and I do have some videos on profile, but if your profile isn't optimized to speak to who you help and it clearly shows and communicates the value you provide, then well, if it doesn't do that, if you're going to find it very difficult to get those responses, to get people to open up as well, which is why I always focus for them profile first. So this is effectively what we want to start doing, right? Because when we can personalize this message, we can ask that question, we can then direct them in the way we want to go. Now, really from there, right, once we've sent the compliment, right, once we've done the compliment, we've asked the question, what we then want to do is effectively we're trying to now identify if they have a problem we can solve. And we'll usually do this just by simply asking questions and getting curious. So this might be asking questions in relation to their goals and just like other things around that. Because if they don't have a problem that we can solve, they like you can't sell them, you can't pitch them, you can't do anything, and there's no point trying to do anything more, right? Because if they're not expressing a problem, then that's that, right? So for example, if I ask how your LinkedIn lead gen, and someone says, "Yeah, it's great, I'm fully booked," there's not really anything else I'm like, I mean, yeah, I'll congratulate them. I'll say, awesome, sweet, keep at it, right? And I'll finish the conversation there because there's no point me pushing further if they're already, well, if they effectively don't have a problem, right? Now, alternatively, if they were to then say, well, actually, LinkedIn lead gen isn't that consistent lately, or, want it to be a bit better, um, or, whatever it might be that shares that they might have a slight implication with it, then that's where I'm like, okay, this is someone that is sharing this problem, right? They're open to sharing this about, like, with me. And then really it's asking more of a question, right? So this is where obviously I can ask more about, say, their goals, maybe things about, say, what they've tried before, how long they've been dealing with this, these sort of things that are going to help me understand more. Now, what I want you to look out for is if they decide to vent to you. And by this, I mean like instead of them sending, say, like a sentence or so, they really start to like, send quite a lot to you and really give a lot to you. Because if they do that, you know that this is a big problem for them, right? It's not just a problem, it's a big problem that they're facing. And if they're venting to you about it, then they somewhat believe that you could help them as well. And so all we want to be doing here is that when we can clearly see this is a problem for them, we effectively just want to push to the call, right? We don't want to have too much of a back and forth conversation. We really just want to take them from this stage and we want to just propose a call. This call just effectively, even just being as casual as, hey, I'd love to hop on a call, or at least, I'd love to chat more about this and better understand your situation and maybe share a few things that I might recommend for my clients. And then maybe we like and such. Would you be open to hopping on a call about it, right? And then maybe you could also mention that potentially at the end of the call, like you could obviously chat about a bit more about if or how you could help them as well. But you want to make this very casual and very easy for them to be like, oh well, yeah, sure, right? Because they've already been sharing this stuff with you, and it's much easier to go back and forth on a call. And if on that call you can obviously, do what you say you did. So let's say you said that you're going to hop on the call to understand the situation, share a few things that might help. Obviously, do that on the call. What you can do is that at the end of that call, you can then ask if they'd be open to hearing how maybe you could help them. And if you've shared some good stuff and they're happy with that, they might say, yeah. And then that gives you effectively the ability to pitch, if you will. So overall, this is pretty much the process that I would use when it comes to using warm outreach with LinkedIn. Because, like I said before, right, first of all, you need to make sure this profile is in check. Because the profile not in check, you're going to struggle to get a like, or at least you're going to struggle to get more people to accept those connection requests, and you're also going to struggle to get people to respond to those first messages. So the profile's the first one you want to do, and I've got plenty of videos covering profile. Then really it's connecting, right? So if you can create that Sales Navigator list, which I really do recommend Sales Navigator, and you can connect with 20 to 30 ideal clients every day, then what it's going to allow you to do is just going to mean that, assuming you're getting about like a 30% acceptance rate, you're going to find it a lot easier to start those conversations with those new connections that are coming in. Then it's a matter of being able to obviously gather all those warm leads. So not just your connections, but also your people that engage with you, follow you, and even view your profile. And then it's starting the conversation. Starting the conversation with a simple, personalized message and a question. And then when they do respond, or if they do respond, obviously, if they don't respond, you can probably follow up. But when they do respond, then it's just trying to identify a problem. Because when you can identify a problem, really, it's just then a matter of asking a few more questions and then trying to get them onto a call. But overall, that is pretty much the process that I would follow. Now, hopefully you found this video useful. If you are a coach that's trying to sign clients to LinkedIn, I do have a free LinkedIn lead gen community where I help people just like you in the community on Skool. So if you want to join that, I have that in the description below this video. But if you're someone that's maybe looking to get more one-to-one support, then you can also book in with me and we can chat a bit more about if or how I could help you sign more clients with LinkedIn. But overall, hope you found this useful and we'll chat soon.